It was always the Jags.
It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
Welcome into Always the Jags. It's your number one podcast for all things Jacksonville, all things Jaguars, all things Duval. I got some very special guests with me again. My good friend Manny is going to be repping the Saints today for our NFL draft grades. Manny, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
And then we got BJ back yet once again, and he'll be talking a little bit of Saints, a little bit of Bills as well. How you feeling today, BJ?
Feeling good, man. Glad to be here.
Feeling good. Yeah. So, we're just going to dive right into our NFL draft grades. We have one more that might be joining us. So hopefully he'll be able to come in. He's going to rep the Colts. We'll probably end up having him go last, when we do our draft grades around, because that's probably where the Colts are going to finish in the division anyway. So, hopefully he'll hear that as well. But let's go ahead and do these draft grades for the Jaguars. Now, obviously, Manny and BJ are probably in much better moods when they're talking about their team's drafts, because the consensus, worst draft in the NFL, is the Jaguars. And most of us as fans don't really disagree, because most of the players that were picked, we have never heard of, nor did we have any kind of idea about who they were or where they should have been. So I'll just take it one at a time, and we'll kind of go through it. And I will say there is some narratives going around there that this was an arrogant draft by James Gladstone. And I don't really get that, because you can't really be arrogant when you're picking players for your team, right? That would be like being oh, it's arrogant because I like sprinkles on my ice cream, and I got you know what I mean? You're picking your players for your team. It can't and I'm sure he bucked the consensus, and I don't think that means that everybody else is wrong and we're right. I think it just means that these guys that we picked are going to fit our scheme better. I don't see it. I'm a Jaguars fan, and I can tell you I don't really see how these guys fit the scheme better, but clearly that's what they felt. But again, that doesn't feel like that's arrogant to me. That just feels like you have a very unique scheme, and these are some very unique players. So, all right, enough of the soapbox. We'll go ahead and jump right in. I feel like I had to address that because the narrative has been floating around. So at number 56, the Jaguars take tight end Nate Boerkircher. Now, I would love to redo this pick and see what would happen if we hadn't got sniped for Gabe Youkiss. I was expecting us to take one of those, there was a huge fall off between the edge players, and Gabe Youkiss was, Manny can vouch for me. We were literally at a basketball game, and I was watching the Jaguars, and I was like, the Chargers pick is in. And I was like, great, we're going to get Gabe Youkiss. And I put my phone down, and I went to go play, and then I came back, and I cried because Patriots just sniped us after the Chargers said their pick was in. So that, I don't know if that threw off the board. It seems like Gladstone was going to pick him anyway, which would have been crazy if he didn't. But I would love to see what would happen. I just want to know, would you have still taken him? But so for Nate Boerkircher, I have a C-. I originally gave this one an F because this was the 164th prospect. On some people's draft boards, he was all the way down in the 200s, and we took him almost 150 picks earlier. And again, I have no problem if you have specific players that you want and that you're targeting. My argument would just be, okay, trade back or take them. You still got to use the consensus to know that they'll be available and take them around then, because even if he's your favorite tight end in the entire class, he's going to be there in the hundreds. So you can just take a flyer on a random player that's ranked in this area and then save the pick for later. You don't have to take him 100 picks earlier just because you like him. So I wish Gabe Youkiss would have fallen to us, because they only would have needed one more pick. I think who James Gladstone should have taken, and this would have been a reach too, it would have been Kieran Crawford or Romello Height. Either one of those. They ended up going very early in the third. I thought we could maybe get them at 81, and people would have seen that as a reach here too at 56 to take either one of those two guys. But the run on edge players really hurt us. It was a run on edge players at the beginning of the second round. I think that hurt us. So I tried to give a little bit of grace and also as you see later on, I'll explain why, I just kind of kept it around a C minus. I feel worse about it than I actually graded. It's like it's a C minus, but I like in my heart, this is like an F. But I gave some grades based upon the edge run and everything. Next to pick number 81, we have Albert Regis. This one is a D. And this is the one like I wish Romello Height or Kieran Crawford could have fallen to us right here. Would have happily snagged him up. But this one is a D because, like, if you compare him to the guy that I wanted us to take was Grayson Halton. And Grayson Halton has a fantastic pass rush profile. The problem is he's not very good in the run game because his arm length is a little bit smaller. He's quicker, but because of that, he's a little bit smaller as well. So he tends to get like pancaked in the run game. Like people just knock him out of the way, which is fine because we already have the number one run defense in the NFL and none of those guys left. And so basically James Gladstone was like, that thing that we're really good at, we're going to take another guy who does the exact same thing that we're already really good at. And it's like, when we get to passing downs, what are we going to do? Like, who are you going to put in? We didn't need Albert Regis here. We already have a fantastic run defense. We needed a guy like Grayson Halton who we could put in on the passing downs. And like, you can only double down on a strength so much because there's only so many defensive linemen you can have on the field. Like, we can't have Regis, Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Trayvon Walker, and Josh like all on the field at the same time. There's going to be a guy on the bench. So get the guy that can get to the quarterback because that's, again.
Are any of them injury prone with?
Is who injury prone?
Are any of those guys you just mentioned injury prone?
I don't know. I haven't done enough to see like if they're injury prone or not. I think Grayson Halton has missed some time. I know the biggest injury prone guy that I wanted was Caleb Banks, but he ended up going in the first round because somebody.
No, I meant of the current guys you have now because as the season goes on, you got to account for losing a guy or two.
That's fair. So Devon Hamilton has been injury prone in the past. He's been a lot better, but he has been in the past. And Eric Armstead missed some time. So that's a good point, Manny. Perhaps we were trying to build for. And in that case, I would have rather taken a guy like Dominique Orange, who is like Albert Regis. His pass rush profile is in the 60s, but his run defense is in the 80s. For Dominique Orange, his is in the 70s in both spots. And then for Grayson Halton, it's flipped. His pass rush is in the 80s and his run defense is in the 60s. So like you could have just taken a more well-rounded guy in Dominique Orange, or if you want Albert Regis and Grayson Halton, that would have been fine too. I would have been fine with taking them both, but you didn't need to take Regis here. He would have, like they said, he was going to be there many picks later. So but that's a good point, Manny. Like I said, some of those guys are a little injury prone. I can't remember who else we have along the defensive line that's like really good at stopping the run. But that's probably why to forego those injuries. But we still don't even have a really good pass rushing defensive tackle. Like that's just someone that doesn't exist on our roster. Eric Armstead had 5.5 sacks last year, and that was pretty good. But again, a guy that you can just plug in on third down, I don't really think we have that guy. So moving on to pick 88. This is the home run pick. This is the A+. This is Emmanuel Pregnon. Nobody thought he would be here at 88 in most of my mock drafts. I never had the Jaguars take him because he's usually not available. Some people had him as the third best guard in the entire draft. Some people had him as the best run blocking guard in the entire draft. So for Liam Cohen, this is a match made in heaven. And for Bashal Tutin, who's going to be starting his first year as a starting running back, he probably looked at this pick and did a backflip because this is going to make Bashal Tutin's job that much easier and to convince Jaguars fans that he can be the guy. I don't even know if Pregnon starts this year. Like, I'm fine if he sits. I'm fine if he starts. Just go to camp, let the best man win. And that works perfectly fine for me. So this is an A+, and this is what's literally with most people's boards and a lot of other people's boards, this pick is saving the Jaguars from being an F in a lot of places because it's great value. I also think, too, if you swap Emmanuel Pregnon with Nate Borkircher, most people aren't looking at this draft as crazy as they are, right? Like if you just swap those two guys, if we take Pregnon at 56, it's still an A because again, he was rated as like early second round, borderline first round prospect. So the middle back half to the second round still would have been a great value, still would have been an A, still would have been a potential starter, maybe still would have been a, if not this year starter or a future starter. And then once you get into the third round, there was a run on tight ends. Nate Borkircher probably looks more like a B. So that's kind of why I didn't crush the Nate trade so much. Because again, if you swap two players, well, you ended up with both of them, right? So it doesn't, like, you don't really have to like crush one if you realize it would have been different if they just take him in a different spot. But yeah, so Emmanuel Pregnon is going to be A+. That's a guy that I think will end up starting for us next season. Moving on to pick number 100, I think this is the last pick of the third round. Jalen Husky, the safety. Now he's very well rounded. From what I understand, he can play nickel, he can play outside cornerback, he can play safety. Again, I guess if Anthony Campanile is like, yeah, this guy really fits in my scheme, great. I got to give this a C- because Jalen Kilgore was still on the board. And he was a guy that most people rated as just as versatile, like one of the most versatile safeties in the draft. And he just has more production. So there's whatever it is about Jalen Husky that Anthony Campanile sees and he likes. The rest of us are probably struggling with it. So again, this is not a guy that's going to start for us next year. We already got 3 safeties locked in, and we like to do a lot of 3 safety sets. So it is important to have a backup there in case there's injury. So it makes sense. But even here, and I'll get more into it in my next pick too, I still think that if you wanted to take a safety, I still think there was a better guy to take too if you wanted to build that safety depth as well. So this is a C- for me. Moving on to pick number 119, we've got defensive end Wesley Williams. This is just an F. This is just an F out of the way of the park. The reason why it's an F is because we traded up to get him. We traded up. We moved up the board, and we were at 124. We traded up 5 spots, and we went from 191. We went from 166 to 196 with the Panthers. So we moved back 30 spots to go up 5. Now, granted, it's a different round, right? But like, that's not worth it for a guy who probably would have been there at 124. And even if he was, not a guy I remotely wanted, because again, he might be a great player, don't get me wrong, but his entire thing is he's good at setting the edge in the run game. And his entire problem is that he lacks a lot of pass rush production. And that's exactly what we need. We need a designated edge rusher. We need a guy who you could put in and go rush the passer. And it's like, we got a Trayvon Walker clone. And it's like, we already have Trayvon Walker. We just paid him $25 million a year. It's one of those things that doesn't make sense. And so the guy I think we should have picked here is undoubtedly Kyle Lewis, the linebacker out of Pittsburgh who ended up going to Miami. Such a versatile guy because he can play linebacker or safety. And because he can play safety so well, he's so good in coverage as a linebacker, which is the exact thing that we're missing, because Devin Lloyd was our guy who was good in coverage. He would drop back. That's how we got all those picks, because you didn't know if he was going to blitz or cover. And Kyle Lewis would have been able to at least compete with Ventrell Miller, step right into that spot, or the vision that I really saw, because Ventrell Miller is great at stopping the run from the linebacker position. On running plays, put Ventrell Miller in, and then when it's passing plays, when someone's going to kill you over the middle, you're worried about that, put in Kyle Lewis so they can stop those slant routes. In that coverage, he can be there and make a break on the ball. That's the kind of thing that he excels at. And we just passed on him. And he was available right there. And this is one of those, like, I can't. Like, I think Wesley Williams had 4 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 3 or 4. That's not. I don't see why we took him over Kyle Lewis. I can't. Moving on to 164. Now, this is where Nate Borkircher should have went. This is the part. This is the spot where, again, even if he's your favorite tight end in the draft, I get it. And they liked him better than. And my favorite tight end in the draft went way later than I was even expecting, right? And a lot of boards had Borkircher ranked above him because they believe Borkircher is a better blocker. And I think Borkircher is also, a lot of tight ends are good at blocking in the run game. I think he can block well in the pass game too, which is another element of his game that kind of steps him up. But again, I would have rather taken Borkircher even at 100 and then taken Kyle Lewis and filled a backup safety and a linebacker spot with one player in two spots, right? Like there's so many different ways that you could have maneuvered it if that's really who you wanted. But here we took Tanner Koizal. And I don't really have a wishful pick or a guy we should have picked. This is actually a B-. I didn't love the pick because, again, I still had my tight end that I liked, and I still didn't necessarily think that we needed to get a pass-catching tight end here. But I saw some of his highlights, and I saw some of his production in college. He had almost 850 yards. So, that's good. And so I think that they're thinking that they can teach Nate how to catch a little bit more and teach Tanner how to block a little bit more and make both of them more well-rounded tight ends. But again, to me, if you're picking guys who are specifically good at one thing, I don't know. To me, that still feels like, okay, in that case, we should have took Albert Regis and Grayson Halton instead of passing on a position. Because also, you could have taken someone like Dalen Bentley, who can't block as well as Nate Borcatcher, but he can catch a lot better. And maybe he can't catch as well as Tanner Koizal, but he can block a lot better. So you could have just gotten a more well-rounded player instead of getting two players that specialize in different things. So this is a B-. I don't really have anyone that I wish we should have picked or that we should have picked. It's just confusing. But I like his college production, so B- it is. 191, Josh Cameron. This one is the only other A I have because this is the exact kind of receiver I felt the Jaguars needed. He might even have been a little bit better than the guy I wanted in CJ Daniels. I wanted CJ Daniels because he has the body type for lots of contested catches, one-on-one red zone threat kind of weapon, and he has a 1,000-yard season under his belt. I didn't get a chance to see if Josh Cameron has ever had a 1,000-yard season, but I do know that Josh Cameron specializes in contested catch situations. Like CJ Daniels has the body type for it, but Josh Cameron is like known for coming down with those 50-50 balls. And that's all a guy I wanted. I just wanted a guy where if we throw it up, if you're going against him, it's probably more 70-30 because he can outbox you. And that's a perfect red zone weapon. He's also a tenacious blocker, so that fits really well in Liam Cohen's scheme. And so he's a red zone weapon for Trevor and a great blocker in the run game. So again, Bashal Tootin and Trevor both win. This pick is an A. Yeah. I wanted to give it an A+, but I don't know exactly where he was ranked consensus-wise, so I don't know great value. But this was the exact type of wide receiver that I wanted us to get. Moving on to pick number 203. Here we took CJ Williams. This one is a B. We just kind of need to fill out our wide receiver room. I do wish that CJ Daniels had fallen because, like, in a perfect world, I would have taken Josh Cameron and CJ Daniels. So that way Trevor has, like, imagine being in the red zone and you've only got 5 yards to a touchdown and you just throw out two huge contested catch machine guys. And it's like, who do you double cover? Both of them. Like, that would have been in a perfect world. And CJ Williams can kind of do that, but not like CJ Daniels. But I think the person that we should have picked here was Landon Robinson. He was a defensive tackle from Navy that I really liked. And again, some of the guys that I really liked didn't go to late in the 7th round. Probably a sign. Again, I'm not an NFL scout. I'm just a fan. But it's probably a sign that maybe I didn't have the best picks on people. But again, Landon Robinson is one of those defensive tackles that has shown a knack for being able to get upfield and get in the quarterback's face and harass him. And for a guy that was graded in the 4th round by some people, to get him in the 7th round would have been great value. I think Bengals ended up snagging him. So I still think that should have been the pick. So my CJ Williams pick is still a B. Definitely think we should have went with Landon Robinson here. At pick number 233, this one is more based upon who was still available. We have Zach Durfee. This is a D. Because Max Llewellyn was still on the board. And Max Llewellyn was one of those last pass rush specialist kind of edge players that we definitely could have got here. I'm not even sure how he was still available. Now, again, you could argue that some of these players that are still available in the 7th round are mainly available because the Jaguars reached for so many other players, pushing like some of the better ones down the board. I don't know. But either way, if Zach Durfee is on the board and Max Llewellyn's on the board, it feels like a no-brainer. You take Max Llewellyn. Instead, we took Zach Durfee. Now, he does kind of grade out as that pass rushing specialist that we are looking for. I think he had 4 sacks last season. So He might have had 4 or 5. I know he had more than Wesley Williams. So that's why this pick is graded better than him. But also he was, again, like in the 600s as far as prospects go. So hard to love this one. And then our last pick at number 240, Parker Hughes from Middle Tennessee State, which is a college I didn't even know existed until this mock draft. But we felt the need to take him here. I mean, there's 2 guys I feel like we should have picked. Even if we did double up on tight ends in the 5th round, I still would have taken Dalen Bentley because I love the way he blocks and I love his highlights. And I guess I'm the only one because the Broncos barely kept him from being Mr. Irrelevant this year. But I just love watching him block. Now, again, if Nate Borketcher can block in pass protection, and that's something that Dalen Bentley hasn't really done, I see how that makes him more valuable. But Dalen Bentley only had about like 100 or 150 yards less than Tanner Koizal. Like he had like 685 and I want to say 5 touchdowns, but I could be wrong about that. So like he's shown production and the ability to catch the ball, and he's made some great over the shoulder catches. And not to mention he brings a blocking ability. So I think that's a guy who's kind of more valuable than Tanner Koizal. But again, like if you look at their highlights, Dalen Bentley's if you look at their catching highlights between Nate Borkretcher and Dalen Bentley's is a lot longer. But again, instead we took Parker Hughes. And I already mentioned how we should have taken Kyle Lewis, but again, he wouldn't have been available here. One guy that I was super surprised was available is Deontay Lawson, the linebacker from Alabama, who's another one of the rare linebackers who's shown the ability to cover. Like it was him, Jacob Rodriguez, and Kyle Lewis were like kind of the linebackers who were good in coverage. And I'm surprised he ended up going undrafted. I was hoping that we would try to snag him, but it looks like he went to somebody else. And so, yeah, if you ended up taking 2 tight ends and you had to take a linebacker, like if we hadn't taken Kyle Lewis, then I think Deontay Lawson, the linebacker, starting linebacker from Alabama, is better than a linebacker from Middle Tennessee State. Call me crazy, but yeah. So overall, Jaguars end with a C-. Now I want to be wrong so badly. And so like I hope at night, James Gladstone, that you prove me wrong and that all these players are somehow just perfect schematic fits for everything that your coaches want to do on the field. But until we see it, that's where this draft is going to have to end. It's funny because like it just kind of got more and more depressing as I kept going, and like I could tell that I was just, the more I talk about it, the more I look at it, that hurts in a lot of places. But I mean, hey, in some draft classes, you are fortunate if you come out with 1 or 2 starters. And we definitely got one in Pregnon. Maybe Albert Regis will take over as the nose tackle for Devon Hamilton. I mean, Josh Cameron will be on the roster for a while, but he won't be a starter. So yeah, I project we maybe got Jalen Husky could maybe be a starter one day. So we got 1 to 3 starters when we honestly could have had closer to 5. So that's my Jaguars mock draft. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys want to, you can talk a little bit about, if you had any thoughts about the Jaguars draft overall, or we can jump right into the Bills or the Saints.
I think you might be overreacting a little bit, Will, with your
a little bit
with your whole looking at your draft, I do see where maybe you want think of where your GM right is his mind was at. I'm thinking him and the head coach. You guys had a great defense last year, I think. You did lose ETN, but this draft shows me that you're comfortable with Tootin because you didn't even go look at a running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you went for extra hands and extra blocker with the tight end, right, on offense. You got help on your D line with your D tackle with the Regis pick. Don't know if he was the best person for that pick, but They got the position filled. And then you have some more protection for your quarterback, which we know we want to give Travis Lawrence the best chance of throwing the best ball. If he has time, he has great receivers to throw to, which you added a little bit of depth to it. I'm not familiar with them, but it's the position, right? They got their position covered, so that hey, if there's an injury, even possibly with one of them, Jacoby Myers or um, LSU wide receiver, um,
Yeah.
then you got that position filled.
Ryan Thomas Jr. Yeah.
BTJ.
Mhm.
And then you also boosted your defense. You got a safety and an edge guy. Even if they aren't stars, but if they're great off the bench, then you just boost. I feel like you got what your team needed, and maybe not the best guys that maybe were available, because overall, um, I see y'all's grades have been between the C minus and the B minus, but I think overall I'll give the team a C plus, close to a
Okay.
B as far as picks, as far as the draft goes. And I think I'm looking at it. This must be what the GM and the head coach thought. Hey, this is what we
Right.
need to, not just because this guy is out there, let's get him. More as in we need this position, and we feel like this guy probably fits what we're trying to do.
Like when I look at our needs, like there were a few things that I knew I wanted going in. Like I wanted another really good blocking tight end who could give us something in the pass game, because when Brenton Strange went down, our run game really fell off and our offense really fell off, and it was hard for us to get back until he got back on the field. So we wanted some insurance behind him and the ability to run 12 personnel. Well, we kind of got that in Nate Borkircher, right? So like that was the need of another blocking tight end to back up Brenton Strange, because Hunter Long and Johnny Mund do not block like Brenton Strange does. So that was a good move. I come away with the C minus, because I think there were, as far as the things that we needed and were looking for, I do think we need a big bodied wide receiver to replace Tim Patrick, and we got exactly that in Josh Cameron. What I feel like we really, really needed, like we didn't even necessarily need more guard depth. I love that we have it, but that wasn't even necessarily like a need. I felt like we needed a pass rushing defensive tackle, someone who could push the pocket from the inside, and we needed a pass rush specialist on edge, someone that could allow Trayvon Walker to move inside on 3rd and long and just pin his ears back and go after the quarterback. And it's not necessarily that I feel like we missed out on those guys. I mainly have us here because we passed on those guys. Because in the second round, yeah, we missed out on those guys. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell, Gabe Eucas, those guys all would have been that designated pass rusher that we would have loved to get. We just missed out on them. But Romello Height, Max Llewellyn, Kieran Crawford, those are guys we all passed on. And then Grayson Halton and Landon Robinson, both guys, defensive tackles who can push the pocket and get after the quarterback, we just passed on them. To me, we didn't end up filling those needs. And so, yeah, I could see how maybe we're a little more down in the dumps than need to be.
Yeah.
Some people are saying this is going to cost him his job. No, it's not. Like, relax. Again, I think there's something in these players that makes them feel like that fits their scheme. So the idea that it was like a what's the word, arrogant draft, again, still kind of ridiculous to me. You can't be arrogant when you're taking players for your own team. Like, I'm not picking for your team, I'm picking for mine. But yeah, so like I said, as I weighed on it, I've seen some F's and some D's. My thing is, like, again, even if you've got a guy that you like I could understand. I would just, if I know where the consensus is and know where they're going to be picked, I would either trade back and collect more picks to give me more bites to get them, or just pick a random guy. Just look at the consensus and be like, oh, is there a top 50 pick? I'm gonna just take him because I know that my guy is gonna be there later on. And that's the thing that I think, like, he didn't feel with that mindset. Like, it's not like gotta get Borkircher. Someone might grab him in the top 100. That was not it. Like, real, like, that's why people don't look at the consensus to tell them what to do. Usually look at the consensus to kind of tell them where guys might be. And so to me, if you look at the consensus, you can figure out where guys might be, even if you know the guys you want, and just use that to your advantage, because there's no reason to pick a guy 100 spots where he's going to go. Like you just take a flare on a player who everybody says is good, and then you just get your guy later on. You could even pick him at 100 or 124, like a few spots before he's going to go to make sure you get him. But 100 spots before?
I'll tell you what, you're going to have me watching the preseason games to see how these guys are doing. And even just in general, I'm going to have to end up getting NFL Red Zone to watch all these games. I feel like I'm invested. I got to see what these picks are going to be doing throughout the season.
I'm going to feel the same way once you go through the Saints draft. Like that's just the way it's going to go. So without further, maybe the Jags and the Saints will play each other in the preseason. That would make it a lot easier. Or we'll play the Bills or something. So yeah, why don't you go ahead, Manny? Go right into the Saints draft. I know the Jaguars had 10 picks, so that kind of took me a little bit longer than I was expecting. I don't know how many the Saints have, but we can go through it, and we'll compare it to your mock draft.
So let me just pull my information up. So yeah, I'll start off with giving the grade that I think the Saints deserve for their picks, and I will go with a B minus. It's not horrible. It's I think that just the order in which we picked the positions might have been a little bit off, but overall, I'm happy with the draft, and I think BJ will agree with me on that. So I just recently remembered too, though, that we got a new coach. So Kellen Moore is going to be our coach, and he's definitely more offensive minded. I believe when he was with Dallas, and I think even the Eagles, they were top offenses in the NFL, like top 5 or top 10 in just about most categories. So now that I think of that, I kind of see where maybe his head was at, and the GM when they were drafting these players. And I look forward to the offense being high-powered and top in a lot of categories in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So with the first pick, the Saints.
Is Kellen Moore? This is his second year with the Saints, right?
I believe it's his first. Not
second, because I thought he was with them last year.
BJ, can you verify that? Is this Kellen Moore's second season?
This is Kellen Moore's second season.
Second season. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. For whatever reason in my head, I still had our previous defensive-minded head coach. So yeah.
No worries.
Kellen Moore. So he went and got first-round pick was Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Elite wide receiver with great upside. But however, I think with this pick, we should have taken a tackle or an edge guy.
Mm-hmm.
I had on my original draft, I had Francis, can't say his last name, Francis M., offensive tackle from Miami. I think that would have been a great pick, but I believe he was taken ahead.
I think the Giants scooped him up right after that.
So maybe that might be why they went ahead with that pick. But yeah. So then only downside with that pick is Jordan Tyson has hurt his ACL before, tore an ACL, and I think another, serious injury. So we're looking at that. So you pairing a ACL guy with a concussion guy, wide receiver that we already have.
Yeah, but, what did BJ say? He's one more concussion away from being Tua.
He's one concussion away from being Tua. So that's the only worry. But outside of that, it looks like he has a very great upside. Good pick. I think it's just not a great pick as our first pick. Then we do finally get the D tackle from Georgia, Christian Miller. That pick, I would grade it a B plus. It addresses a need for stopping the run. So I think great pick. SEC guy. I'm biased with ACC, so I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Then our third pick, we went and got a tight end, also SEC guy, actually Miller's teammate from Georgia as well. And online, most people graded a A or A plus. Again, I give it a B plus, just because I think we could have went cornerback with that pick, but tight end, um, it is does highlight an immense need on an athletic side. He's very athletic. We have had few great tight ends picked in the last previous draft. So we're hoping that this was a steal. This will prove to be a steal in a year or 2 or 3 from now. That hey, we got this guy in the third round, but look at it, top tight end. And it also something BJ and I talked about earlier was that it's telling our quarterback Tyler that hey, you are our guy. We're getting you these pieces around you to throw to get the ball to, and we're getting you the help. So if I'm Tyler, I'm feeling like I'm the man. The organization's behind me. They're getting me weapons, right? Because right after that, they pick another wide receiver, right? Bryce Lance, Trey Lance's brother, coming from North Dakota State, has an high upside, but definitely a gamble with this pick. But he has excellent size and excellent speed. So I'll grade that A, especially if it proves out to be a great player in another year or two, um, to accompany the two good wide receivers we're already going to have on the roster. Next, we picked cornerback Lorenzo Style from Ohio State. I'll grade that a B. I think he is going to be a developmental cornerback, but with very high level athletic tools. Don't know much about him, but I'm okay with that pick. Again, we needed a cornerback. I would have liked one of the higher ranked ones, maybe in the second round instead, or even the third round. But I'm okay with that pick. In the sixth round, we took BJ's guy, Barian Brown, who is considered more of a return specialist with a great upside and potential that could eventually still be a top wide receiver, but he boosts our special teams, and he's a speedster, right? So again, though, third wide receiver that we're drafting just in this class, right? So it's kind of like, oh, could we have used one of those picks for another defensive position, right? But it could turn out to be a great pick for special teams, just a threat to have, especially when we just got rid of Rashid, sent him to the Seahawks last year. Maybe he could be a Rashid type guy, need him on deep, fast, long throws, a speedster guy, or a special teams return guy. After him, which I'll grade that pick a B as well. After him, our last pick was T.J. Hall, another cornerback from Iowa. Again, addressing the cornerback need. Um, he's technically sound, and seems like an efficient pick. Just again, I think a little late to go get another cornerback. At least we did it, but I would have preferred a cornerback higher ranked cornerback higher, and then maybe use another D lineman or O lineman as our seventh round pick to complement our earlier pick. So overall, yeah, I think I'll grade it. I think I said a B plus. Yeah, for the team. I'm satisfied. We'll see how the team goes. Like I said, how the season goes. Like I said, now I'm invested. I want to see what this team will do, what these players will do preseason and during the season. But it seems like we mainly focus on building the offense to create a more explosive one, and added multiple receivers, varying in body types, and some of them have very high potential. And if it works out, we might be looking at a team with three great wide receivers on one team, for a few years. But yeah.
So if you're Tyler Shuck, do you prefer, and the Saints are building around you, and you're like, yeah, I'm the guy, I'm the man. based upon, I don't know, his play style or personality or however you want to base it on, are you rather getting, like, would you rather have that wide receiver, Jordan Tyson, or would you rather have that tackle, Francis? Like, would you rather build the trenches in front of you or give you another weapon for the first round pick?
Yeah, great question. I think that if you're going to go based on what previous contenders and winners have done, you start building from the trenches, right? Um, Not from the outside. That's what I think. That's what causes frustration to wide receivers when the quarterback can't get it to them. You got this great wide receiver, quarterback has no time to throw it to him. I want to get out of here. Now you booster up that line, and then you have no wide receivers, and you're trying to bring somebody in or draft another one. But I think when you draft a guy to protect your quarterback, and then you can go in and look for a wide receiver to add to, it works out better that way. I think you got to start in the trenches. That's why the SEC succeeds so well, because they got those big guys that dig deep in the dirt and just walk over people. You can run, you can throw against any other conference. Um, Fairly easy most of the time, until you meet other teams like your Ohio States and your Michigans. But for the most part, you start there in the trenches and then you build around that. What do you
He
think?
didn't answer the question.
Go
Based
ahead.
on Tyler Chuck's personality, who getting chucked tonight? Who getting chucked tonight? Chris Olave, 100 catches, 1,100 catches, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. Right? Did
Yeah.
that look like a guy where the quarterback was struggling to get him the ball, fellas? The answer is no. You went and got Jordan Tyson. You know why? The Seattle Seahawks, Rashid Shaheed, Cooper Kupp, and the best wide receiver in the league. Shout out. Isn't he Ohio State alum? That's not wide receiver you. LSU is. Right. Barry Brown, elite draft pick. Jordan Tyson, elite draft pick. The Saints, NFC South Division winners.
Oh, calling it
Again,
here.
I think the offense is going to be spectacular. I think it's going to be. We should have a better scoring year than we did last year for sure. But we're talking about entertainment and being relevant. Great stuff. I'm talking about winning rings, right? Um,
Mhm.
I guess it's just the perspective, right? If you're looking at it, I'm trying to win rings. I'm okay sucking this year and half of next year. If it tell me in 3 years we're gonna get a ring, but if we're happy just being a high power offense, the scores makes it to the first round, maybe second, and then we're out because we don't have those guys in the trenches. Then hey, sometimes that's what teams. I've learned that apparently that's what teams live for. Sometimes you're not trying to win, you're just trying to make money, and stay relevant. So.
That's funny. Like, because it can be different per quarterback, right? Like Russell Wilson
Yeah.
always complained about getting hit, and Aaron Rodgers, like, they wanted a good offensive line. But like Trevor Lawrence, like, he loves athletic receivers. He absolutely loves it. And like he'll love escaping the pocket and throwing to them. Like that's why I was curious, like, if Tyler Shuck gives any like indication on like what he prefers when it comes to like trenches or big bodied receiver. But
I don't want to be blasphemous, but the man's looking real Josh Allen like. Get out of there. Make plays with his legs. Who getting chucked tonight?
wow.
Chuck.
I mean, I would say that like we gotta have a Bills fan on here to check that take, but like you are the Bills fan, BJ. So
Hey.
I'm like,
Well, I know greatness when I see it.
okay.
Josh Allen, best quarterback in the league.
And Tyler Shuck's what, number 2 now?
Oh, well, I didn't say that.
Okay,
He's on his way.
Okay.
He's on his way.
All right, so he's not that okay. He didn't drink all the Kool-Aid. He's just kind of like on the path.
Yes.
But this is a good segue, BJ. Let's go ahead and dive into this Bills draft. And I guess the Saints didn't move around a whole lot in this draft. It doesn't look like. And I don't know if the Bills did either. Let me take a look. But what do you think about the Bills draft, BJ?
Hey, man. Just like the season the Bills had, they fell a little bit short, but a great season. They had a great draft. Overall, I give the team an A- on their draft. I think they hit it right out of the park because they filled needs that they had. First pick, right? They take T.J. Parker, big defensive tackle, ACC Clemson. I think he led the league in like tackles for loss in, I want to say 23, right? So he's a big guy, attacks the pass rush, and we signed Bradley Chubb in the offseason, right?
Mhm.
Next to Greg Russo. So he's gonna have a great interchange with Chubb and Russo. Youth, big guy. That's actually not the pick I wanted them to make, but I did fall in love with the pick. I would prefer to go wide receiver. I'm biased, as you can tell. Wide receiver, love it. Keon Coleman hasn't lived up to the hype. Denzel Boston went a few picks later. Washington, the last Washington wide receiver, plays for Chicago. Roma Dunze, really nice wideout. I think he has a chance, Denzel Boston, to be better than Rome. 6'3", 212. So I really like the pick, though. I mean, he feels a need. We all know they need a pass rusher, right? The next pick that the Bills made was Davidson, and forgive me if I say your name wrong, Igbignison, cornerback. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. 6'2",
Yeah.
189. Right,
Mhm.
so he has size there. Christian Benford's cornerback number 1, Harrison's cornerback 2. So he's gonna play a lot of nickel back, and I think he has the size to do it. Right, it used to be that slot wide receivers maybe were 5'9", 5'10", but now you're starting to see. I mean, look at Puka Nakua, right? I mean, he's an amazing wide receiver, but he plays a lot in the slot. Cooper Kupp did, so he got some size there at 6'2". I really like that pick. I'll probably go with a B minus, only not that he's not worth the pick. It's just that you're set at cornerback 1 and 2, so maybe you didn't have to take that in the second round, right? So next, I wouldn't say I had a replacement there. Jude Bowery, right? He's a offensive tackle. Josh Allen can always need that because we don't want him to run the ball as much as he gets older. You kind of want to stay in the pocket. That's why I wanted him to get a wide receiver early on so he can anticipate throwing in the pocket more. Khalil Shakir led the team in catches last year. I don't know if that's the recipe.
Hold on. You telling me you don't want Josh Allen running, but you want Tyler running?
I said as he gets older. I mean, Josh Allen's been doing this 6-7 years now.
So why not just protect Tyler now? Why not just protect Tyler now?
You don't say, hey, Patrick Mahomes, what makes you special, Josh Allen, what makes you special is the youthful legs, and you say, hey, all of a sudden I want you to turn into Drew Brees. You don't do that. But as you get older, I just want you to do something less. I take it away completely. Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars, right? Mediocre quarterback, but really good legs, right? Really good legs.
He's not even in our division. We're just catching strays. Like, I expected that from our Colts guy. But...
sorry, Jack. Sorry. And then Skylar Bell, wide receiver, right? That was a need. He ranked as the 13th best wide receiver. You got him in the 4th round. I'd say that's probably decent value there. So 5'11", 192. I'm not the biggest fan with his size. I feel like I prefer a bigger wide receiver. Now, to be fair to the Bills, I probably have to say that's a B grade because Kincaid and Knox are 2 great, amazing big tight ends. So it doesn't hurt to have smaller wide receivers when we pass to the tight ends a lot. And we have 2 really great tight ends. So I'll give a B there. Caleb Earns or linebacker out of TCU. He graded as the 11th best linebacker. He ranked 149th overall. So I'll probably give that pick a C minus. I don't think I would have picked anyone else there. 5th round, we took Jalen Kilgore, safety. I like that pick. I think we only signed DeMar Hamlin to a 1-year deal. So that tells me that we don't have a safety of the future. And so maybe we get some value there of Jalen Kilgore. Zane Durant next at D tackle. He ranked as the 15th best D tackle. He graded at about a 59. But what he did, they say he was undersized with average length and not much room to add to the pass range, but he performed well at the combine. So since he did well at the combine, I'll give him a C. But it's not looking too good. And then Toriano Pride Jr. I'm biased. I automatically like the pick. Why? He went to Mizzou, SEC. Just calling out right now. He ran a 4.32 in a 40-yard dash. So at the very least, you are not going to attack him down the field. You're not going to beat him down the field. 4.32. So I'll give it a C. And then Tommy Doman, a punter. guys, we're not gonna grade a punter, right? But if I had to give him a grade, he ranked as the third best punter, right? You got him in the 7th round. Sounds like an
Yeah,
A.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Ahmad Reed Adams. Again, I'm totally biased. He's a guard. He went to Texas A&M, SEC. And if you know what Texas A&M did to LSU this past season, my God, Lord.
Let's not talk about
Anybody who played on the offensive line at Texas A&M, what they did LSU,
And he's
I
still
can't
trying
even
to-
hate. Yeah, I still have PTSD.
Oh,
So I'll give that an A-. So overall, I give the team an A- for their grade. I think the Bills attack needs that they had. I think they really killed the draft early on. So those back end picks, right? You can't really hate it too much because the first 3 picks they knocked out of the board. Edge, corner. I love the picks. So shout out Bills.
I think it was impressive how the Bills were able to. They traded away the 2nd round pick, remember, in order to bring in DJ Moore, and then they still ended up with 2 2nd round picks in this draft. And I mean, the 2nd round is like, I mean, obviously most people prefer to have a 1st round pick, but I always feel like the 2nd round, like early in the 2nd round, is still a great place to be picking because there's always going to be players with 1st round grades who fall into the 2nd round. It's just inevitable. So being able to pick up a couple of things in that 2nd round and get some guys, not a bad move. And so I think probably agree with your assessment. I guess the question is like, how will the wide receiver pecking order play out? Because I mean, Khalil Shakir is probably going to be a starter. DJ Moore, they just brought him in. He's going to be a starter. I guess Keon Coleman and Skylar Bell will fight for that 3rd position. Who knows? I do think it's kind of funny that the Bills traded Stephon Diggs away for a 2nd round pick and brought in DJ Moore for a 2nd round pick like 2 years later, or like a year later. And it's kind of like, I mean, is DJ Moore better than Stephon Diggs?
I'm only going to say yes. And I'm a huge Stephon Diggs fan. I would like us to circle the block as he's a free agent. But the only reason I'm saying yes, Diggs is now going to be a year removed from the ACL injury. So I'm giving DJ Moore the break of he hasn't had that major injury. But production tells you.
What's the age difference?
I think it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Because Diggs was 2015 and DJ Moore was drafted in 2017, right?
Okay.
Sounds right.
I give you that. Otherwise, Diggs, I think it was more just of a locker room, maybe, not mixing something going on there. Otherwise, I think Diggs would have been great still in Buffalo. We've seen the year he had in New England. And
well, he's a free agent, so they could bring him back if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, sign me up. I would love it.
I don't see that happening, but
yeah. Sometimes when a bridge is burned, a bridge is burned.
Yeah.
I just kind of think it's funny because it's like for most of their careers, like DJ Moore, like even at the peak of his career, people probably wouldn't have put DJ Moore over Stephon Diggs. And obviously Stephon Diggs has started declining. And it's like, has DJ Moore started declining? I don't really know if he's like reached like the declining stage yet.
Stephon has declined into a prime DJ Moore.
I think it's unfair to judge DJ Moore.
Still prime DJ Moore.
Fair enough. It's unfair to judge. Yeah.
This is the thing with DJ Moore, right? We all not admit what wide receiver has had worse quarterback circumstances than DJ Moore.
Yeah. And he was in Chicago, right? And then Panthers too.
The Panthers, come on. The Bears. Did he spend any time in I'm thinking of Mooney went to Atlanta. But outside of Caleb Williams, wait. He was with the Bears last year, right?
Yeah, he had Justin Fields with the Bears because that's how they got up there. Yeah. I don't think he ever had Bryce Young. He had whoever the Panthers had at quarterback before Bryce Young.
So it's like
they used him to get Bryce Young. And then he had Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. Yeah, I mean, this is the best quarterback he's ever played with, right? But for any receiver who plays with Josh Allen is probably the best quarterback they've ever
played with
at this point. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like he went from he shot up pretty high there. So I guess we'll see how that all plays out.
This is make or break year.
For Josh Allen or the Bills or both?
For DJ Moore. If you can't double the production of Shakir, why are you here?
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that because like he's especially for the price. It's weird because it almost feels like if the Bills had offered a 3rd-round pick for DJ Moore, it's kind of like if I'm Chicago, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to part with DJ Moore for a 3rd-round pick. But a 2nd-round pick almost feels like too much. Like it's kind of like in that weird range where like maybe you would have had to like kick something back, like, okay, I'll send you a 2nd if you send me a 4th. And I don't know the
Right.
exact details, but he kind of feels like in that, like if I had him, I wouldn't let him go for a 3rd-round pick. But for a 2nd-round pick, oh wow, it feels like you're overpaying. Yeah, I'll send him over to you. So I guess it's kind of one of those weird situations as well.
I think the rumors were he didn't like Caleb Williams. I think I read something that he wanted the Bears to keep Justin Fields. Why would he want such a thing? But Caleb Williams doesn't come across as the most likable guy, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see why he like. I even like this is something I've never admitted on this channel, but when they were coming out, I wanted Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence. You can ask one of my friends. I did not like Trevor Lawrence. I didn't like the hair. I didn't like the prince that was promised. I think it was because like I believed in Gardner Minshew more, but I still
What?
wanted to take Justin Fields. Well, because like I
Yeah.
thought not like I believed in him more than like Trevor Lawrence necessarily, but I felt like he got a raw deal, and I felt like when Nick Foles was healthy and we put Nick Foles in, we should have just kept Gardner Minshew in. 'Cause
I
also
agree with you
didn't like
100%.
Foles, right? I really didn't like Nick Foles, and I really wanted us to just try to trade up for Kyler Murray or get like a rookie quarterback. Glad I was wrong on both of those. But like Gardner Minshew was the exact, like if we had kept all of our defense and just not signed Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew was the guy, that could have worked. Like I loved Gardner Minshew. Like he was fun and everything. Now, granted, his limitations obviously started to show, and he couldn't keep it going. But I think all those factors made me really not like Trevor Lawrence. And then, that beautiful Jets Rams game, and we just ended up getting Trevor just by that. And it's funny because like my perception of him, like once he became a Jaguar, I was like, okay, I'm invested and I'm gonna give him a chance. But it's funny how like watching like interviews and stuff of players or like watching them join, because like he's been on podcasts with like Maurice Jones-Drew and There's the Pivot. And he's done interviews with like the Jaguars podcast. It's funny how much it can change your perception of a player, because now he's easily my favorite player in the NFL just because I like him as a person. He just seems like a cool dude to hang out with. And I just like him as a person. Trevor Lawrence, yeah. Like now he's easily my favorite. I mean, I'm wearing the Lawrence jersey right now. Like, I am fully bought in. But it's amazing because I did not like him at all when he was coming
I
out.
learned a few years back, probably around 2020, or whenever Rodgers was starting to have those issues with Green Bay, to not get attached to players, as cool as they may seem to hang out with or cool, because I was like, as an organization, how do you let Aaron Rodgers go? How do you how do you not give Aaron Rodgers what he wants? But one thing you can say about the Packers, they have let their quarterbacks go at the right time. No matter how much you may feel like, man, this is one of the best quarterbacks ever, they let him go at the right time. And you see how Pittsburgh is paying for not being able to do that, right? Not being able to let their quarterback of the last decade go. They held on to him too late, too long.
Oh yeah,
and this
Ben
is what
Roethlisberger.
happens,
That's what
right?
I'm saying. Yeah, they've been in a cycle
So,
where they haven't been able to replace him.
right. But I like Trevor Lawrence coming out of college. I watched him before he went to college, or maybe his freshman year in college. There was a show that came out that would do, I forgot the name of the show, but it followed quarterbacks in high school. Spencer Rattler was on it. Trevor Lawrence was on it. I can't think of his name, but and also there was this guy that played in Miami. He was drafted. He went to Miami for like a year or two. I think he started there. He was supposed to be really good. Ended up not really being very good. But Trevor Lawrence was great in high school. He was great in college. Thankfully, he was not able to beat Joe Burrows and the Tigers and that faithful 2019 championship team. But you could see, like, hey, this guy is good. Like he's better than something stands out in his play. So to me, I thought that he's kind of it's been a little bit underwhelming what he's done with the Jaguars, right? Because of what I expected coming out of high school. Dude was throwing like a professional already in high school, right? And then you go to college, and it's not like you're playing at some rinky-dink school, or I don't respect the ACC that much, but it is the ACC, right? And he did get to the championship game, so and he played well enough throughout his college where I was like, okay, I think he's going to be a beast when he gets to the NFL. If he goes to he has the right protection, but I think he's had enough to do more with the Jags, and he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah,
I completely disagree. Completely.
Easy to say that.
No, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Uh-huh.
Trevor Lawrence, coming out of high school, 5-star recruit, maybe the most anticipated college freshman quarterback coming in, and I don't know how long, right?
Mhm.
And freshman year, he is amazing. Sunshine, remember the Titans. And every year, outside his freshman year at Clemson, he's been mediocre. Mediocre at Clemson, sophomore year, mediocre junior year. He's been mediocre as the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback. Getting that big contract. I know you got the Lawrence jersey on, and I know this is a Jaguars channel. I don't mean to offend anyone. But
good.
let's call it a spade a spade. He is not worth the contract.
I agree with his NFL career. I think his college career was just fine.
I think, like, obviously his rookie year was terrible, right? And we just tossed that out because Urban Meyer, right? His 2022 year was sensational for us as Jaguars fans, because when did we have a quarterback lead us into the playoffs? So when was the last time we had that, right? It had been, and he was making breathtakingly amazing throws. Like that Chargers game in the playoffs, like he could hit any part in the field. And and I think that's the thing, like he's best when he has burners that he's on the same page with, because he would just tear people up with Zay Jones. And then 2023, I don't know what happened. Like, to me, that was unacceptable for them to just not be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, I don't know what fell off then, or Doug Peterson's scheme got stale. And then 24, the same issues from 23, and then he just ends up getting hurt. And I was one of the people that agreed that I think we paid him too much and too early. I didn't like the contract at first, right? But now, as we get to the end of 2025, with his resurrection, I guess, and Liam Cohen's scheme, after the year that he had under Liam Cohen's scheme, there was no option. Like let's say that we hadn't extended him at all and just did the Lamar Jackson treatment and just picked up the 5th-year option and let him play all the way to the 5th year. We would have had to give him a $55 million contract. Like he would have been, after the year he had, if he didn't have a contract, he would have gotten what the top quarterback makes. And like his agents might have even been able to press to get Dak Prescott's contract of $60 million. So they knew the price was only going to continue to go up. Like, I feel like he took, like, I would have rather him proved it and then we paid him, but it feels like we paid him and then he proved it. And it feels like we would have had to give him, like, the starting number, I feel like would have been 55 after the year he had. Because if you look at all the guys that are paid in comparison to him, like a lot of people, like Justin Herbert is one of those quarterbacks that everyone's like, oh, he's got so much talent and everybody loves him and he's amazing. I agree. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's never beaten Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is 3-0 against Justin Herbert. So that's what his agents will always point out whenever they're dealing. Like, well, why are you going to pay? You can't pay Trevor Lawrence less than Justin Herbert when he's beat him head-to-head 3 times. And Trevor Lawrence has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert, right? And so that's always going to be the benchmark for them. And like you could argue that Justin Herbert is more consistent and has better regular season success, but as of right now,
I'm a big fan of Herbert myself.
Oh, not really?
Not in the playoffs anyway.
Hey, yeah, man, you guys gotta have context here, man. Please give me some context.
Here's the thing: like when you end up comparing it to one player, it's like it just kind of ends up being like, what has Justin Herbert done that Trevor Lawrence hasn't done? Besides
play the quarterback position better. Play quarterback.
But then
better.
why doesn't he have? Then why didn't he beat Trevor head to head? Why has he lost to Trevor 3 times head to head?
I'm sorry, I didn't know Justin Herbert played corner. defensive end,
Here we go.
linebacker.
Here we
I'm
go.
just saying,
I
like,
didn't know that.
the best quarterbacks in the league have beaten every team. It doesn't matter who you're going against, right? Like even the Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen debate, they've beaten each other multiple times.
Mhm.
He's never beaten the dude. And a lot of the games, two of them were blowouts.
I hate to break it to you guys. I hate to be this guy. They're going to hate me. But the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence aren't a benchmark test. They're not. They're not. I'm sorry. You're not a benchmark. Nor am I Saints.
But
So if they're not a benchmark and you can't even beat the benchmark, you can't even beat a team that's not the benchmark. What does that say about you? Because remember, not only has he never beaten Trevor Lawrence, he's never beaten the Jaguars.
He hasn't won a playoff game. I'll give you that.
Or has he beaten the Jaguars?
Right. But no. It's something to say
I'm
you
not
haven't
worried
won in the
about the
playoffs.
regular season.
Who
I'm
would
worried
you
about
rather have? Who would Jaguar Nation rather have? The next 10 years, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert?
Oh, we would take Trevor. No hesitation.
You have to say this, and I appreciate it.
We-
I understand the lawyers.
I think it's like I think we like him better.
Once we're off air, yeah.
What? The answer's not going to change. We would take him.
Hey,
I think we just one thing I do think that Trevor has on Justin Herbert. Now, again, the consistency needs to be there, but I do think Trevor can at least he's a better runner. So when it comes to like scrambling, and I think that's one thing that Liam Cohen really helped to open up in his game. Because Justin Herbert actually showed some scrambling ability.
Yeah.
But like even watching Trevor scramble for one of those 6 touchdowns he had against the Jets, it's just so effortless. Like, and again, he does need his 2025 season for a quarterback that gets paid $55 million, his back half, that should be the benchmark, right? Like the expectation for Trevor is high. I'm not trying to say like he's been amazing every step or defend him nonstop. Like, I think he needs to recognize that, like, hey, this is the standard now. Like, this is what I got to play as. I can't keep having all these highs and these lows. But now that I figured it out, I need to prove that I've, figured it out. But I do say he has, a running ability that Justin Herbert just doesn't quite have. Even if you give him about the same arm strength and Justin Herbert has made better decisions over time. Thing is, decision-making, you can kind of start to fix that. Running ability, there's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? So
if you're a mid-tier completion percentage guy, I haven't seen yet a guy go from 59 to 60% completion percentage to 65, 66. Maybe you guys have, and and you can let me know, but Trevor Lawrence is right at 60%. So you say completion, you said making good decisions, you can kind of change that. I mean, he threw 60% this year, and it's not terrible, right? That's not terrible. But as years go on, guys are throwing 65, 66, 67, 68.
Right. I mean, Drake may hit 73 this year, right?
Yeah, So, and he has weapons. Like Brian Thomas rookie year compared to second year, what happened?
And that's another thing that I think, I think that's why, and going back to the draft, I think that's why scheme is so much more important than we sometimes realize, because Brian Thomas Jr. ended up being the number 1 wide receiver because he took over the Zay Jones role of just run down the field. And then we'll just put the ball up.
He did that at LSU.
Right. But when you're the number 1 wide receiver, and I guess people have this, the number 1 wide receiver kind of gets in their head, but they kind of think of a guy who can do anything. And when it's when I need a play, I just put the ball in his hands. Mm-hmm. That's Jamar Chase, right? Whenever I need a play, I just put the ball in his hands over the middle, whatever it is. That's not Brian Thomas Jr. He can still be a number 1 wide receiver, but you just got to let him do what he does best, work the outside, and just run. And
Mike Evans.
Run. Mike Evans is a guy you throw him over the middle of the field. He's got those hands, to me, you can still be a number 1. You just got to fit to your strengths, right? And that's where Jacoby Myers fit in perfectly. And I think also players kind of help unlock Trevor more than scheme necessarily does. When he really likes somebody, and I think that's something we'll have to keep in mind of to keep him good, we gotta
See, now you're being honest. Now the truth is coming up.
I was honest the whole time. To me, here's the thing though. Like, if you got to keep his buddies around him, like, yeah, you can use that in negotiations for your agent. But if his best is when he has receivers that like he knows and trusts and everything, I will still take his best over Justin Herbert. If I know, like, hey, the best way to unlock this guy, I got to keep Jacoby Myers and I got to keep making sure I find guys that he melds with. I'll do that to get his best.
Did you know who Quentin Johnson was last year? Like prior to last year, do you know who Quentin Johnson was?
I did. I was like, oh, he's that guy that keeps dropping balls.
This is who Justin Herbert is having to go all day.
Okay, but
when you got your boy back?
Who did he have in his rookie year? And his first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, the amazing work runner.
Right.
The amazing. Keenan Allen.
Mike Williams. So he wasn't hurting.
Mike Williams is hurt every year. He's probably on IR right now.
Again, I'm not necessarily trying to say that Trevor is better than Justin, but if you're looking at from a contract perspective and like from an agent's perspective, there's no way that I knew as soon as Justin Herbert signed his deal, I'm like, there's no way Trevor Lawrence is going to get less than that. It's just not going to happen.
That's fair.
Now, I do think they could have tied it, and I think like I wanted like back then it would have been a 45 deal, but again, once Justin Herbert got 52. You can't go under it for a guy that's beat him 3 times.
It's the next
At the time he beat him twice.
So
I hate
BJ,
that time.
So you know, BJ, I like Herbert better up until like the last 2 years. Up until the last 2-3 years, I was like, hold on, why am I so into Herbert and he hasn't done anything for me? You know what I'm saying? Like during the playoffs, during the regular season, hey, great. But I'm saying during the playoffs, it's like you like a guy, you can only like him so much for what he does during the regular season, right? At some point, you're like, hold on, you're great here, and then I haven't seen you this translate in the offseason. You're up on the Jags, and then you let them come back. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that's just now. Do I think you're better off with either or? I think you're okay really with either one. Right? If the Jags have the other one, if the Chargers have the other one, I think you're okay. I'm just saying that I don't really care to take one over the other. I used to have Herbert over him, but I think right now and where they stand, they're what and what.
You can't make this argument. This is like making the argument that people used to make. It made sense then. Everybody knew Tom Brady first 8 years of his career. Just the first 7-8 years. Peyton Manning is 3 times better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady has a better team, therefore he always beats the Colts. So if you want to say Tom Brady's better, we understand with a caveat what you're saying. He beats Peyton all the time. But the first 7 years, Tom Brady is not even a top 5 quarterback. Once Peyton started to win, everybody knew Peyton's the best quarterback in the league. He won all the MVPs. To make the argument that Lawrence is better than Herbert, as if Lawrence has been to the AFC Championship game, as if Lawrence has been to a Super Bowl, as if Lawrence is an MVP, Super Bowl MVP. He's not on that. He's won 1 playoff game, right? 1 playoff game. In the 2 playoff wins he had, it's been wild card playoff wins. Am I right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I think he only has 1 playoff win.
A wild card playoff win.
Yeah, he's one.
Trevor.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence.
1 playoff win.
He has 1 playoff win. Guys,
and then they won 1 last year.
No, we lost to the Bills in the first round.
Yeah, they lost a tight game to the Bills.
Yeah, Trevor's only made the.
I thought that was the second round. That's okay. That's my fault.
Yeah.
They won 1 playoff game.
We got punished for winning our division, but that's a whole nother.
That's right. The Bills had to come here.
Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Right. We should
have
have got.
I'm only saying, if I kill you in the stat game, I kill you in completion percentage. If you ask anybody outside of Jacksonville, who is the better quarterback, the entire world is going to say Justin Herbert. And mind you, who's the Chargers head coach this year? It was his first year. It was his first year as a Charger. Now, I want you to be completely honest. Who's going to have the better regular season? And if they met up in the playoffs, you're going to pick against a second year Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, what happened when Jim Harbaugh
came to
came to Jacksonville
I'm
this
gonna
year.
use your rhetoric,
I
BJ.
can't remember what happened because like
Jim Harbaugh is not on the
Justin
field
Herbert-
playing defense and throwing the ball.
I'm like, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken,
Okay.
the Chargers had Jim Harbaugh last year,
His
and
first
Justin
year.
Herbert was playing, and they came to Jacksonville. What happened during that game again? Because I think we were also missing our starting tight end and a couple of our cornerbacks as well. I can't, and 3 of our wide receivers. How did that game go for the Chargers again? I can't exactly. I'm trying to figure out why I would take
You're
them
right. Yeah, absolutely.
in the playoffs over the Jaguars when they got beat by several touchdowns from 2 of our backup wide receivers.
We're gonna have this
I'm
conversation
trying to make the math,
this year.
and it's just not mapping.
Do the Chargers and Jags play this year? Because we're gonna have to get on the phone. I have this.
Honestly, I picked us to lose that game at the beginning of the year too. Like I didn't think we
Yeah.
were gonna. I thought the Chargers were on the upswing, and Jaguars just got pissed off. And they just took out all of their rage on. And even when you look at, like, I'm looking at the Justin Herbert's. The thing is like when you factor in like people factor in wins probably more than they should when it comes to like, who's better than who. But also, being great doesn't matter. Like, do you think Myles Garrett would rather be the Super Bowl? Like, would he rather be the Defensive Player of the Year and have the NFL sack record, or would he rather have a Super Bowl ring?
At this point in his career, Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's easy to say
At
that
this point.
now.
Like, if he had to trade
Correct.
some of his talent and not be the best defensive player in the game, just
For some people, that's not enough. For some people, that's not enough.
right.
Only
but,
his
like,
age. I'm only saying
like,
because he's like what
Yeah.
30 now.
Yeah.
right, and that's
Yeah.
his age is a factor. But I just mean, like, I think he would rather, like, I mean, it's hard to say not be as good because obviously every player is going to push themselves to be as good as they can. But, like, obviously winning does mean something.
Yeah.
At least, like, winning does mean something. Like, you can be great, but if the game's on the line and like your team needs to win, and like, so I'm looking at the Chargers, Justin Herbert goes 6-9 with them his rookie season. Great rookie season. Again, his rookie season obviously outpaces Trevor's. And I thought Trevor would have as good of or better of a rookie season than Justin Herbert. And I was totally wrong on that. And then 2021, they go 9-8. I don't think they make the playoffs. 2022, 10-7. That's the year when they lost to us twice. And then 2023, they go 5-8. Right? And he was healthy for a lot of that year. They just ended up cratering. And again, if I look at the Jags, it's kind of a similar trajectory. Bad rookie year. I mean, not a bad rookie year, but like record-wise, like a losing rookie year. Then a lot more success in the sophomore season. For us, it was playoff success. Didn't really translate to, getting into the playoffs for Justin Herbert's second season, but that's fine. And then a down year where you end up losing a lot, even if you have, relatively good. I'm not looking at Trevor stats right now, but his down year is 23. And for Trevor, his down year was 24. And then now in Justin Herbert's up year, hey, he's gone 11-6 and then 11-5. And so he's back on his up years. And the only thing better than 11-6 is 13-4. Just saying.
12-5.
In 5 years,
I guess 12-5 is bad, but it's funny. I feel like they have very similar career trajectories too.
yeah.
It's just, I think I can at least say that, like, I would take Trevor above, but I wouldn't mind saying that they're tied in my mind. If I'm ranking quarterbacks, like if you had one at 9 and one at 10 and the other at 10 and the other at 9, to me, they would be interchangeable for me at this point right now. Well, we didn't get a chance to go through the Colts draft. Said unfortunately the something, things happen. Our Colts guy couldn't show up, so hopefully we'll see if his team even ends up showing up next year. We'll see. Can't really make any guarantees for the Colts, but yeah, let us know your thoughts about the draft grades down below. To recap, I gave my Jaguars even a C-. I mean, I feel like C- is. I'm like, can I give them a C? And then I immediately just go no. So for me, the Jaguars are a C-. If I'm not mistaken. And BJ, Manny, why don't you give your grades real quick, and then we'll head on out of here.
I gave the Saints a B plus.
Give the Bills A minus.
A minus, yeah. So obviously feeling very good about their drafts. And I guess we'll all see. You know, it's so funny like grading drafts because none of this really matters until the guys get on the field, and none of us know anything until the guys get on the field. Like, it's so funny how many players were like surefire prospects, Jeff Okuda, Jeff Aduka, you know, number 3 overall, and just don't end up paying out. So you got to take the draft grades with a little bit of salt, but this is what we do when we are bored in the offseason and we need football. So until next time, guys, and never forget, it was always the Jags. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss out on any videos about the Jaguars from my channel. Check out some of these other videos that I'm sure you'll be interested in. And again, never forget, it was always the Jags.